Hello and welcome to another episode in my Warhammer 40,000 Conquest series. In this episode, we will be looking at what we're doing with... No, not that one. Celestral Grey, and what to do with it. We'll also be revisiting some older models and adding some extra detail to them. And finally, in our community focus section, we'll be having a look at what our Australian comrades have been up to. So stay tuned. So, what are you going to need for your Celestral Grey base? Well, we're going to be revisiting the Tainted Cohort and Lord Felfius, so we will be painting up all of the smoke that comes out the back of 3 of them. We will also go back to the Rhino and we'll be painting in the light lenses, and we'll bring out the old Redemptor Dreadnought as well to paint in the light on there as well. Then once we're done with that, we're going to go back to the Tainted Cohort and touch up some details with Rakarth Flesh and shade it with Agrax Earthshade, and then we'll also revisit the Poxwalkers and the Blight Hauler and do a couple of details on that as well, and then shade in with Agrax Earthshade. So first of all, let's get started. So as this is a brand new pot of paint, we will need to give it an extra good shake just to make sure you mix it all up nicely and you get a good consistency. You want to find your chosen Tainted Cohort. I'll start with Felfius and just start painting on the smoke, being real careful that you don't go over the previously painted areas, like so. And once you've done all that, then move on to the next one. But there are some details, not just on the back, but also like this one. He's got smoke coming off his chain axe as well, to make sure you get that. And then when you're done with those, you can then move on to the vehicles. So these, you want to very carefully just paint in between those bars, like so. And you may need to do a couple of coats as well, which is fine. You most definitely will need to neaten up on these lights. Very difficult to do a neat job to paint in between those bars. And the Dreadnought, paint that in like so, and also the front of those little missiles. So again, take your time with that. Once you've done that, we then get the Blight Hauler, and as you may have known from a previous episode, I'll put the link up here. I had already painted the horn parts in Rakarth Flesh and already done the missiles as well. So what we want to do, even though in the guide it's to paint the missiles red, I want to do in Rakarth Flesh. So what you got to do is paint those up and then put some Agrax Earthshade on them. Once you're done with that, you then want to go and visit these little chaps. Now again, you see in the previous episode, I'll put it up there, I already done some of the bone growths for half of them. So as you can see, I painted in the claws and everything as well, but I didn't shade it yet because I wasn't sure if we were getting different shade to use or not. So Agrax Earthshade, and then just liberally shade it in, focusing more at the base to really get into those details, like so. You want to do it on all of the claws and bone growths. Also get their teeth as well, make the teeth look nice and mink. So putting these guys aside, with the Rakarth Flesh, you want to revisit the Tainted Cohort, so you can do like the horns on your Nurglings, like so. Then any claws or horns on the Tainted Cohort, get the rack off flesh from that as well. So you got all these, you got the tiny ones as well. Got these teeth, this one's just full of teeth really. So over his knee, over his hands, shoulders, everywhere. And make sure that you do check the pictures as well, so you get a good idea of where those details are. And of course, Lord Velthius, he's got huge horn growths on there, so get all of those. You're also gonna want to paint the haft of his scythe. So the entire length of it, with all the bandages wrapped on it, for lack of a better way of describing them. So again, be very careful, but if you're like me and you didn't glue it down, then you'll be able to take the pieces off, but I'm a bit lazy at the moment, so I'm just gonna be very careful in painting those details. And you will need a couple of coats as well to do that. Okay, so once you have finished with the Rakkar flesh and the Celestral Grey areas, so the Celestral Grey looks something like that. That's what the Rakkar flesh should look like on those horns and growths, and on the haft of the side. The next thing you want to do is get your Agrix Earthshade and start shading it in. Now, for the Tainted Cohort, you'll want to shade in all the red leather strips as well. So first of all, you do your horns. You can go as heavy as you like on it, just make sure you don't leave big blobs of the shade, as you know, it will leave big marks and it doesn't look too good, it doesn't look well shaded, so you want to push the shade around as much as possible. What you can do is, once it's dried, you can add a second layer of the shade on the horns, but you could do it further down, so you know, gives it a bit more of a blended effect. And with the leather straps, what you want to do is just pop it in there like that, and then again push it around so that you don't get the big blobs of it on it, but you get it in those grooves like so. So when it dries, it gives off a nice shading effect. And of course, you could always just apply it straight into those recesses, but you want to give that red a dirty effect. You want to make it look like it's all grimy in it, and that's what the shade does nicely. So you want to do the haft of the weapon like so. Boxwalkers as well. Some of them I did paint with red trousers just to break up the blue, to make it look like they're working in the Mechanicum sort of districts. So again, what you want to do is be real careful and just shade in all of those horns and bony growths that you have picked out. And of course you could do the teeth as well, because you know, you're not going to have clean teeth, are they? You also want to do those bone growths here, focusing a lot more around those holes and the vents like that. And you can shade in all of this as well if you wish. And remember, I didn't glue all of these together, so it's times like this that's really made it a lot easier to shade and paint the details. So I can, because it's easy to build kit, you can pull it apart and put it back together. As long as you're careful you don't do any damage to the paint. As you see, when it's dry, it's got a nice shaded effect, and so the bone growths as well. So welcome to the community focus. Now in this episode I wanted to focus on our Australian brethren in our conquest journey, and I wanted to see what you guys are doing down under with your subscription so far, but for whatever reason, whether you were chugging back tinnies by the Barbie, or if you got stuck out in the bush or the outback, or maybe you were wrestling kangaroos and koalas, I don't know, but getting a response from you lot, bloody struth. Very shy all of a sudden, aren't you? Anyway, so I managed to get a couple of replies, and got some examples of some fantastic work. So first off, I'll start with Mr. Ben Marley. Now he has done a very nice collaborative picture of both his Death Guard and of his Ultramarines, and he hasn't followed the paint guide. He's gone ahead and done his own thing, but the Death Guard look absolutely lush. You know, he's paid plenty of attention to detail. There's a great mix of colours. The hues on the skin as well is amazing, and those poxwalkers look absolutely disgusting, which is brilliant. And then he's gone all out with the bases as well, and he looks really, really good. And of course there's some non-conquest figures there as well that he's added in, but it looks brilliant nonetheless. And so here's a picture of his Ultramarines as well, and as you can see, he's again paid a lot more detail to these models and added a lot more to them. For the Lieutenant Calcius, he looks great. Yeah, he's even gone down to painting his eyes, and the robes on the Librarian are cracking. He's even done a little bit of detail there as well, so it really does help it stand out. Yeah, no, I can't fault it. It's a really, really good paint job. So thank you for sharing that. I also got a picture shared by Ron Heathcote. Now it's not a great picture, taken by a log fire though, so living the life of luxury there. But yeah, no, he's got a great little collection there. He is following the guide from what I can see, and he's doing a great job there. But thank you again for sharing that with us, and yeah, your collection's coming along very nicely. Alright, so the first one to answer my rallying call for you Aussies was Brett Gallagher, and he's done his own paint scheme, the Sons of the Lion, and it's a really nice colour scheme actually. It's like a brassy gold with a beige background, and it looks really, really nice. I can't wait to see more pictures of what you're doing as well, because it's a fantastic paint scheme to do, and it's quite tricky to get a flat, even paint job with that colour as well. So it'd be nice to see more pictures of that. I'm sure they're going to look excellent soon. So thank you again for sharing, and thank you for being the first one to reply, and for trying to rally others. These bloody bogans didn't want to get off their asses, did they? So that was it, very short and sweet. So thank you again to our Australian cousins for sharing their works, and we hope to see a lot more in the future of what you guys are doing, and I hope that you can help inspire more of your Australian brothers to share their work as well and get more involved in the community, because it's all about sharing that inspiration. It's all about showing off what you're passionate about, and showing off what you're putting your heart and soul into, and working hard to bring to life. So thank you so much for sharing that, and it was a privilege to have a little community focused on you guys. So thanks again for sharing. So thanks again for joining me in this episode. Please make sure that you do subscribe. Click the little bell icon as well, and all my links to social media websites are in the description below. And while you're down there, click on that link to Big Mech Downskull, where you will find out each week what each episode has installed for you, plus a little extra knowledge here and there that he has to throw at you. And that's it for now. So I'll see you in the next one.